Good. Yes. All right. It's working. Hey everyone, welcome to my Chasing the Checkered video diaries. I think this is episode 6. Starting to have some special guests on my little show here. So here we are with Keith Petrin, 2018 champion in the truck division at Beech Ridge. And I kind of wanted to bring him on to talk about the hot topic that's been talked about on Facebook in the past few weeks, which is the changes coming for 2019 and the Beech Ridge um, Saturday night schedule. With we're eliminating past races in 2019. A lot of changes coming, more races being added. So I just wanted to know, as a competitor yourself, like you race on Thursday nights, but as a competitor yourself, like how would you take the news of, getting more races added to the schedule, kind of getting rid of touring series? Like how do you feel about all these changes coming in 2019?
If I'm a Saturday night competitor who races in a Wildcat or a sports series or even a pro stock, and I just like to race the weekly races, I think it's great. I'm a tour guy. I don't like that, but I think it'll be a good thing. To maybe in a few years it might end up coming back or something. We'll see. But I think it'll be good for the local guys. Like a lot of times when the touring series come in, one of those guys, like the sports series, won't have heats, or the Wildcats don't get heat races, and um, it's kind of a bummer if you're running for points because every point counts, and you don't. Those heat points are big sometimes. Sometimes that's what decides a championship. So I think it'll be a good thing. Adding races is great. Um, Last year, I don't know how many races they raced, but there was a lot of rainouts. So the Saturday night competitors didn't get to race that much. There's 20 or 21 races on the schedule this year. I think that's going to be great. As long as everybody races clean and they keep their cars in tip-top shape, should have maybe a good car count the whole season. So we'll see.
And I feel like last season was just it just happened that for like every Saturday night, it would seem like every third Saturday, which they would have off, would be like sunshine and rainbows, and the other two would be like pouring rain. So
Yeah,
I feel like maybe too, like you said, like this is going racing every single week instead of taking every 3 weeks off, like kind of leaves that room where if we have a really crappy racing season, weather wise, as we did last season, then it kind of makes up for that.
yeah, and it does. So I think they went like it rained all three races. They rained out. Then they had sunshine and rainbows, like you said. And then the next three races, I think, rained out. So they went like 6 weeks without racing, 7 weeks without racing. Now, if I have a pro stock and I got $40,000 into my car or whatever it is, I'm mad at this point. I want to go racing. And granted, they would have still missed them 3 weeks. At least on the fourth week, they'd have been racing. So that's tough. It's tough. I think what Beech Ridge did with trying to change the schedule up last year, I think it was they made an effort to change something. And it was nice to have every third week off if you wanted to do something with your families, but it just didn't work out. And I'm excited to see what this year will bring.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It'll definitely be different. I know that like as a sponsor, it's kind of different too because you're like, I was just joking around and I like messaged Charlie. I was like, so this doesn't mean that you get like 1.5 times the funding as last year. Just so we're clear on that. So
Yeah,
it's kind of it comes to a shock to like drivers too. Is that like yeah, it's really cool to have more races and we talked about before, if you have like a bad finish, it kind of leaves you like more room to, kind of make up for like the errors that you made in one week where you didn't have a good finish. But it's kind of daunting as far as like finances go because like we just talked about on the TV show, is that the finances between like Thursday night and Saturday night, there's a big difference
yeah.
there, and there's a lot of costs involved in Saturday night. So costs can also play a big part too.
Yeah, and costs will play a big part, and hopefully the Saturday night guys can find the funding for the extra 4 or 5 races. But in them 4 or 5 races, you also got to figure there will be a few, rainouts that might happen, but might not. So you have to have the funding. So we'll see what happens. They used to do 20 races, and then they scaled it back a little bit. So I think a lot of the guys love racing, and they've been looking for a little bit bigger of a schedule. Um, and I think the schedule this year is awesome at Beech Ridge because they've upped the laps for some of the races and stuff, which is great. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be good though.
Yeah, and I think you're kind of cool because on Thursday nights you go and you're a competitor, but on Saturday nights I always see you up in the tower with Dan Walker helping out.
Yep.
So it kind of goes to show that like Beech Ridge really is your home, as like we did just discuss in like the TV show too. So, how does it feel being on that different side of the field on Saturday nights?
It's awesome. I love it. I just volunteer at Beech Ridge. I love to help out. Um, I've become really good friends with Dan Walker. He's taught me a lot about Beech Ridge. He's taught me a lot in the tower. It was all new to me, and it was all new to him 2 years ago when we started. And, they asked me if I'd be interested in helping, and then so I helped, and then Dan asked me if I'd be interested in doing Car Wars. So I volunteered so Dan could have at least Friday night off with Sue because Sue's awesome as well. I love those guys; they're the best. But anyways, so I told Dan, I said, "Hey, I'll do Car Wars on Friday nights, so you can spend some time with Sue or whatever. Do whatever you guys got to do." But because Dan's there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Sunday if there's a pass event, and that can weigh you out. So I helped. I didn't mind doing Car Wars Friday nights for a couple of hours, so it worked out good.
I know guys on like Saturday nights are like rowdy enough, and then I could. Is it kind of hard to keep people in line on like Sunday nights?
It is a whole different group of people. So for day destruction or Car Wars, it's a different group of people. That's their type of racing. That's the racing that they like. It's not it's not the racing that we go watch. But they love it, and sometimes they get out of hand, but they know when the guy comes down from the pit tower, he means business, and they usually calm down.
And on these video diaries, trying to get to know drivers a little bit more. So I'm kind of asking them some of the, like a few of the same questions. So I'm gonna ask you a few, if you don't mind.
That's okay.
So first one is like we talk about, this past season for you like was incredible. Like you won a championship. It was awesome. Really dominated the beginning of the season. But one thing I asked the driver on my last video diary is, do you have like an embarrassing racing memory where you just like were like, oh my gosh, I just screwed up and everyone just saw that? Like one that sticks out in your mind?
Oh, yeah. Um, there's been a few. You always miss a shift on a restart or something. My When I first started racing, I had a '92 S10, and you could when you shifted, you always went into third. Well, with the new style S10s, the gearbox is really tight, and I start in third because I don't want to miss a shift.
I know no flips or anything for you yet?
I haven't flipped, but my I think it was my second year racing or my third year racing at Beech Ridge. I thought I was doing great, and I passed a guy, and then halfway down the front stretch, he just turned dead left, and we hooked, and he rolled over, and it was awesome because Jamie Williams has it like shot by shot, and I ordered a big picture of it, and I have it hanging in my garage, so it's absolutely awesome what he did, like the pictures he got. But I was like, I don't even know what just happened, like.
Just look at your mirror and all this chaos
Yeah,
is going
well,
on.
like the guy literally came down in front of me and he spun, and then I like tried to lift out of it, but it was too late. We went into the sandbanking on the infield, and he just went up and over. It was an easy roll, but it was still like, what the heck just happened?
Was it Mark Grantham?
It wasn't Mark Grantham. Me and Mark have actually always raced pretty good together.
Yeah.
I like Mark. The guy's name was Kurt Nolden.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still talk. Like he's like, I don't know what happened, but I didn't either. So I was still new to it, but everything worked out.
And then with that being said, we'll talk about, kind of how you battle some of your competitors. Who's probably the most fun person, battle it out alongside on the racetrack?
I'd have to say Mark Grantham, actually.
Yeah.
I've always had fun with Mark, and it's a toss-up between Mark and Jeff. Jeff Gillette. Jeff's always raced me pretty good. Mark's always raced me pretty good, and I've raced them the same. There's Mark and I have a friendship, and Mark said something to me this year about the way I raced him one time, and I said, all right, I'll try and change it, but that's what's good about it. We could talk about it. So, but Mark and I have always raced side by side, never had to worry about each other. And same with Jeff, there's been a couple, everybody makes mistakes, and I've made a mistake, and whatever's happened, but we talk about it, and then it's just, so those are the two that I'm most comfortable racing side by side with. And there ain't much that'll change that.
Yeah.
They're two of the toughest competitors, but they're really clean at the same time. So
I think that's one thing about too that we did talk about like earlier, just me, you, and Steve, is that a lot of competitors on Thursday nights, they just have a lot of mutual respect for each other, and it's kind of weird because you don't really see as much on like Saturday nights. I know like a lot of competitors are also friends, but there's just like I feel like with Thursday nights, you'll go out there, you'll put your helmets on, you'll go race against each other, but you're the guys that like if one thing goes wrong with like one of your trucks, you're all over there trying to help a person get out there on the racetrack.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think it's a difference in maybe like generations. Like a lot of the guys that race on Saturday nights have been racing for 20, 30 years, and nowadays it's we all try to help each other. I think a lot of them guys do too. It's just a different way of doing it.
Mhm.
Like this year on opening day, I had my truck was overheating and we couldn't figure it out. Had to change the radiator. Well, Jeff Gillette couldn't race. He couldn't race on opening day. Well, he was there. He helped us change a radiator in my truck, and it's like my toughest competitor last year. Him and I were pretty close for the championship. We raced each other, and he was right there, elbows deep, helping me change my radiator. And it's like it's just awesome. The group of guys that race on Thursdays are awesome, and the respect we all have for one another if something happens because we're all competitors, but we want to have as many trucks out there or cars to race against because you don't want people to say, well, yeah, you won 5 races, but you only raced against 4 cars.
Yeah.
So
And then car counts is like again, like what we say is like a big thing and a thing that a lot of people talk about, especially in recent years with racing, with costs being higher. So like, what are some things that you think like could change to make like these car counts go up, or to make the schedule a little bit more fun for the competitors, and to bring more people into the track?
um, well, I don't really know.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot that could change.
yeah,
Um, it's $6, I think, to get in the
hmm,
grandstands, which is pretty cheap
not much
night
at all.
out for a family to go out and spend $6. Kids 12 and under are free. So as far as that goes, I think honestly, us as competitors are sometimes our own worst enemy and make it expensive because there's always the next thing you can do, or you know what I mean, to make it more money. So there's some areas where it could change, but there isn't as far as to change it back to what it used to be. It'll never happen. To make it, when Thursday Thunder started, you could build a car for $1,000. Now you couldn't do that because the
Yeah,
guys that have cars now or trucks now, they wouldn't be able to use them because of how much the sport has advanced. And so it would be hard, but you could do it. The biggest thing is if you know how to do the work yourself. If you have to pay a guy like Alan Berry or Bubba Pelton or anybody to build you a race car, it's going to cost you a lot more money than if you did it yourself. So that's part of it, and I don't know what else they could do to. There's stuff that could bring up the car counts, but nothing's a guarantee. So
yeah. I feel like with both like tracks and drivers, it's just like a trial and error, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, seeing what's bringing in more people. And I feel like at the end of the day, like the sport's always changing. Like we all, like you said, it's not going to be what it used to be, but it's all about making it something better and trying to still help the sport grow.
yeah, and that's what we try to do. Like on us Thursday guys, I think we all market it probably the best. I think we market better than most racetracks themselves because we just want to see the fans in the stands. We want to see the people there. Um, and that's what's gonna getting the word out. You got to get the word out. Stuff's changing all the time, and they make new rules at the racetrack. Every racetrack has their own rules, so then you gotta like as a driver, it's like, okay, so I got to take this set of rules and make my car fast, but what else can we do?
Yeah.
Because you always want to find more speed, and that's what makes it starts making it more expensive. So
Yeah, and then lastly, I ended up our last video diaries on this question too. What is one thing, like as a driver, that you would say, to kind of get them to be on board with, hey, I'm a Keith Petrin fan now. So, like, why should people root for you, and then why should people come to Beech Ridge in 2019 to watch you race?
um
You're a homegrown team, I know that too. So that's like something that
yeah,
does attract a lot
so
of fans.
boy, I don't know.
And people don't like talking about themselves, so that's why it's a tough
No,
question.
that's a tough question. I think people should come to Beech Ridge and watch me because I like to make it exciting. I like an exciting race, and I do what I have to do to get to the front.
Yeah.
And I try not to be dirty, but I do what I have to do to get to the front. And sometimes contact's made, which sucks, but we're friends in the pit area. But when we go out to race, you get the helmet on, you're there to win.
Yeah.
So, not that I would ever wreck anybody intentionally to win, but sometimes, there's contact, and my truck's in a million pieces right now because we're putting new body panels on it. And so, you should be a Keith Petrin fan because I like to make it exciting.
Yeah, he does.
Somebody did tell me this year that I was racing like Louis Anderson, and I thought that was one hell of a comment.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's one of the guys like we talked about even in the break too. He's one of those people that will do anything to go racing and will make it a good time for not only himself but the fans as well. And I feel like you do that as well for your.
Yeah, I mean, I try to be clean, and if I make contact, I make sure I apologize, and I'll admit if I'm at fault. It happened this year, like Dave Lampson and I made contact, and I was like, I texted him the day later because it's not worth talking at the track, and I said, listen, that was 100% my fault. Like, if you need anything to fix your truck, you tell me. Like, it was my fault. Like, I made a rookie mistake, but I'm a human. We all make mistakes, and stuff happens. So, but get out to Beech Ridge in 2019 because it's going to be fun. We got the Street Devils coming on, and be a lot of action.
Definitely a lot of exciting action coming in 2019. Get to see this guy making his way up for the front, which is another thing that's exciting about Beech Ridge on Thursday nights and something that you don't see a lot at other tracks. So looking forward to seeing you in 2019.
Can't wait.
And then you guys as well. Thanks, Keith.